the sports leader. Check the live stream on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Running for Connor Joe. Gonzalez, the batter. Giants corner infielders in. There's a ground ball past Miller and through into center field. A base hit. Rounding third, Taylor heading home, and he'll score the winning run. Well ahead of the throw from Matos. It takes just one pitch for the Pirates in the bottom of the 10th, and they walk off the Giants. A stunning loss for the Giants, who took a 4-run lead into the bottom of the 9th. Saw the Pirates rally, and Pittsburgh wins it 7-6.
All right, nothing like a little Tuesday night torture for the Giants in Pittsburgh, and not in a good way, as they lose 7-6. Series opener, road trip opener. 4-game winning streak is history. So much for that win in the series finale against the Dodgers, the sweep of the Rockies. Over the weekend, things are looking good. Giants up 6-2, bottom 9, and then all heck breaks loose as we welcome you in here to Sports Phone KNBR on a Tuesday night. It's John Dickinson sitting in here for the next 90-plus minutes as we keep this thing rolling up until 9 o'clock. 808 KNBR is the number, 415-808-5627 to give me a call or shoot me a text here, the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. And we have a lot to react to following this one. One of the worst Giants losses in memory, and factually the worst Giants loss with a ninth-inning lead in about 4 years, going back to 2020 and having the 4-run lead in the ninth inning. Logan Webb pitches well, 8th start of the year for Logan Webb, where he allows 2 earned runs or fewer, and the Giants score runs for Logan Webb, hit a couple out of the ballpark, didn't get the job done with runners in scoring position tonight, but did hit a couple out of the ballpark, failed at different points to add on and blow the game open, but feeling like mostly a comfortable game throughout the afternoon and on into the evening as you listen to it here on KNBR. And then 4 in the 9th for the Pirates. Giants can't cash in the runner in the 10th on second to begin the frame, and then one pitch, and the Pirates cash in their runner from second. And Eric Miller on the mound, one and done, base hit, game over. 4-game winning streak over, now 23-26 on the season as the Pirates improve to equal that same record. So where do you pin the blame tonight? Tonight's a night where you kind of sit back and let Giants fans vent a little bit. The last week has been, for the most part, pretty good. The 4 straight wins, a turn through the rotation. Logan Webb trying to keep things rolling. He does his part, even though he didn't really have his best stuff, and a lot of hard-hit balls tonight for the Pirates against Logan Webb, but he ends up going 6, quality start. Giants took advantage early of the defensive miscue in the first inning on the dropped pop-up for a couple of runs. Giants were working counts early in the game, 10 different times just in the first 4+ innings where they had full counts. In this one, Estrada goes deep again in the 5th after a leadoff walk by Jorge Soler. But the Giants in that 5th inning, unable to break the game open. Mike Yastrzemski had an opportunity to do it. Marco Luciano had an opportunity to do it. They both went down with the bases loaded in the 5th. So the Giants didn't add on there, but you felt like still as the game went on and the Giants were able to add on with the Chapman solo poke to center in the 7th. They add another single run in the 8th. It felt like those 2 runs were going to prove at a minimum to be the difference. Ryan Walker with a 3-up, 3-down, bottom of the 7th. Tyler Rogers gets through the 8th inning. And all told, you're thinking this is the Giants about to hit that 5th consecutive win and be feeling really good going into the next couple of games of this series with Blake Snell going tomorrow and the momentum continuing to build with the younger players contributing and the veteran players contributing. But then that bottom of the 9th inning goes to heck as Luke Jackson trying to get the final 3 outs. A little curious that Bob Melvin didn't just go to Camilo Doval to begin the ninth inning. Non-save situation, I get it, up 4, and sometimes Doval can be a little bit funky in the non-save situations, and Luke Jackson did get the first out, but then a couple on with 1 out, and then it becomes a save situation with the tying run in the on-deck circle, and Doval comes in, walks Triolo, bases loaded, then Bay with a single to score a run, and the pivot point of that bottom of the ninth inning and where things truly did go awry for San Francisco, McCutchen hits the grounder to Luciano. Luciano did look like blocked by the runner a little bit, but he boots what would have been a game-ending double play. Giants lead down to 2 still at that point, but not only did he not get the double play, he didn't get a single out. And as it turns out, you never can go back and replay everything as it would have been the same. But if Luciano can just hang on to the ball, flip it to second to get 1, the Giants are feeling better at that point about their ability to be able to get out of the inning. And, he backed up, got caught in between, still thought he was trying to turn 2 rather than just giving up on that and taking the single out and moving on into the night. But, yeah, and then Brian Reynolds, Doval had an 0-1 pitch that was definitely a strike, not called, fielder's choice for the second out, which would have been the third out had Luciano been able to hang on to the ball and flip for the second out on the botched double play, turned into an error off the bat of McCutchen. So it's 6-5 at that point, and then O'Neal Cruz ties it. 6-6. One of the hardest hit balls of the year. I think it may have even been the hardest hit ball of the entire season at 121 off the bat. And the game is tied. Blown save for Doval. Giants do get through the ninth. As I mentioned, can't cash in the runner on second in the top of the 10th. And then you go to the bottom of the 10th inning, and the Pirates wind up winning this one immediately. So 808 KNBR is the number, 7-6 final in extras. Did think it was curious that Bob Melvin did not go to Camilo Doval, even in a non-save situation. He let it get to be a save situation. Still 6-2 as Doval comes in with a couple of runners on, so room to get through the inning and move forward there. But all in all, I mean, Giants failed to break the game open. Luciano boots the double play, doesn't get 1, and it just opens the door for some of the big hitters for the Pirates to be able to cash in the tying and eventual go-ahead runs, and they wind up winning this one. So big-time punch for the Giants tonight when it, they're close to working their way completely back with the 4-game winning streak to the 500 mark. And now, got to win 3 to get back to that mark again. And all eyes will be on Blake Snell tomorrow. But, yeah, a lot of difficult notes from this one as they hadn't blown a game like that in the ninth inning since 2020. The runners in scoring position come back to bite the Giants. Didn't look like it was going to bite the Giants at any point throughout the course of this game. They did score 6 runs. First time this season that the Giants scored 5 and lost. They had been undefeated when scoring at least 5 in a game, and not tonight, as the 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position does come to bite them, and the Giants end up wasting a solid enough Logan Webb start, even though, again, as I mentioned earlier, there were a lot of hard-hit balls off of Webb through his 6 innings of work, but some well-positioned defense for the Giants throughout a good chunk of this game allowed them to be able to get out of some jams and be able to push through to where this was just a comfortable game for the most part. So where do you pin this one? What's your frustration level? Does it feel like all of the momentum is stopped for the Giants just when it looked like, all right, this team's got action, the young guys are contributing, you're flipping the rotation back around to the top with Logan Webb, Blake Snell gets reinserted back into it tomorrow, but a ninth inning that is as bad as any that the Giants have seen here over the course of the last 4 years, and it all flips to the negative. Giants lose this one in extras in Pittsburgh, series and road trip opener 7-6 to the Pirates. So we'll go ahead and pause here. 808 KNBR is the number, 415-808-5627 to give me a call or shoot me a text here. We'll go ahead and pause. We'll come back, and we will get to your phone calls. Coming up next, it's Sports Phone, KNBR, Giants post-game edition right here on 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Sports Phone KNBR. Dial the digits or send us a text at 415-808-KNBR. We're streaming on YouTube all damn day at KNBR 1045.
Here's his 2-2, and it's swung on and missed. He threw another changeup, had Zawinski out in front, and for Logan Webb, 6 strikeouts over 6 solid innings here tonight in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, all in all, a good night for Logan Webb, but the Giants give up 4 in the 9th. They lose in 10, 7-6 to the Pirates. As Logan Webb, maybe not with his best stuff tonight, but still 2 earned runs or fewer for the 8th time this season. 6 innings for Webb, the 6 strikeouts, just 1 walk. And again, his ERA now 3.03, but no win because the Giants give up 4 in the 9th and end up losing in extras. 808 KNBR is the number. Let's get to the phones as promised. It is John Dickinson sitting in here tonight on Sports Phone KNBR for Kerry Crowley. And we'll get things rolling tonight here on the phones with Joe in Idaho on the Sports Leader. Hey, Joe.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well tonight, man. Tough loss.
Very tough. It's very discouraging. I was counting on 5 in a row. The Giants this year with a guy on, well, forever, it seems like, guy on third, less than 2 outs, are constantly not getting that guy in. And Mike Yastrzemski is terrible at that. I think he's like 0 for forever in that situation. Does he actually know that just a fly ball will work, or heck, even just bunting will work? I mean, he's just terrible at that situation. And in the 5th inning, he had that situation when the Giants were ahead, and just adding 1 run there would make a huge, huge difference. And he popped up again like he always does, or strike. Actually, I was thinking he'd strike out because that's usually what he does there. I think that was a terrible decision, pinch hitting him right there. Besides that,
two instances that cost the Giants in this one that you look back on. The obvious one is after the game gets to the 10th inning and Yaz bounces out to first. He did advance the runner there in the 10th inning to get Ramos to third. But the 5th inning is the one that I think you really look back on because the Giants had an opportunity there to really break the game open. As much as you were comfortable 6-2, if that thing gets to 8-2 or 9-2, then they're obviously able to work through that 9th inning.
7-2 is a big. I mean, just when you get up runs, if you get up 1 more, it makes it that much harder on the other team. You know, and the Giants are terrible about that. They're always playing for that big inning. It's not me time. It's still we time, and they don't think that way. They think me. And I think Mike Yastrzemski is the worst culprit. And I wouldn't be sad if I saw him be the odd man out when Conforto gets back, because he can't hit. He doesn't hit righties anyway. He doesn't hit right-handers any better than Elliot Ramos or Luis Matos. So why is he on the team? I mean,
yeah, we'll see. They've got some decisions to make, and thanks for the call, Yastrzemski. They got a lot of decisions to make, no doubt, as players get healthier. And they did have a couple of roster moves earlier tonight before the series opener. Blake Sable got sent back down with Patrick Bailey's return. They had sent Tyler Fitzgerald down after the game on Sunday. They claimed Ryan McKenna. McKenna was out there against the lefty to begin the game tonight, and then that was the spot where Yastrzemski had pinch hit for a guy who's on the Giants roster for the first time in this game. But Yaz's at-bats have been better lately, so I think that obviously gets him the call in that particular situation. But as you look at the roster and you look at the moves that are going to have to happen and who's banged up right now and coming back at some point, and the productivity of the young players, there are going to be some tough decisions. I mean, Conforto comes back, you probably send Wisely out at that point, but then you don't necessarily have a backup infielder at that point. Wisely obviously can play some outfield as well. So I think that's going to be interesting. And then, the other one is when Austin Slater comes back. What do the Giants do there? Now, it doesn't sound like Slater at this point is close to a return, so you could probably ride things out with who you currently have. But, yeah, I think they're going to have to debate, does Wisely go down and then you don't have another guy who can play some infield as a backup, or do you put yourself in a position where you feel like you have to maybe send somebody like Ramos down, which I personally wouldn't want to see. I mean, as well as Matos has performed, he shouldn't be going anywhere. Ramos, to this point, shouldn't be going anywhere. But you got to get Conforto back on the roster because he has been one of the more productive Giants hitters. But, yeah, you look back at this one, and that fifth inning is the one where, again, you should win the game anyway, up 6-2 in the ninth, bottom line. Whether Luke Jackson starts the inning or Camilo Doval starts the inning, regardless of how you slice it, the Giants should win this game up 4 and had won this game up 4 every time, going back almost 4 full years on the calendar, back to August of 2020. 808 KNBR is the number to join the conversation, 415-808-5627. Let's keep it going here on the phone lines with Mike in San Francisco next on the Sports Leader. Hey, Mike.
Hi, JD. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. This one stings, I think, a little bit if you're a Giants fan, considering all the momentum that has been built up over the last week, and you've got Webb on the mound, and you hit the ball out of the ballpark a couple of times. You just feel like they're going to get through it, and on to Blake Snell's return tomorrow with a hot club, and now you almost feel like you're starting over a little bit.
No, that's perfectly fine, and we had our chance tonight. I do agree with you. I see that. What I wanted to do was just kind of pick it up for Luciano tonight, who's getting a little bit of a rousing, But the kid's been playing great. He's been having a very patient at bats and putting the ball all over the place, not trying to knock it over the fence even. And, tonight there was a couple times where I did see him, hesitate and say, I'm just going to take the sure out. And you could tell as the game progressed that kind of got him a little weak towards, making a play like that or not making a play like that. But that's okay. It's one error. He can make 30, and I'd be all right with him as long as we're winning ball games like this or series. If we can win series, I'd ride it out with him as long as he's hitting. And I think Ahmed will be great in a reserve role as a defensive substitution down the road with this. But there's some other things, I was just the other thing I wanted to talk about was tinkering with the bullpen a little bit. We have Luke Jackson, who's been pitching in some high leverage situations. And I think a couple of guys have earned the right to maybe move up on the food chain there and start taking some late innings work, like Ryan Walker. I'd love to see him in the setup man role a lot. And also Sean Jelly has been lights out. I'd love to see him take a couple seventh innings here and there. And, maybe those other guys work their things out, like Taylor Rogers, for instance. If he's not in that high leverage situation, I know he didn't pitch tonight, or Luke Jackson, for instance, maybe they start getting more bite on their pitches with a little bit less pressure on them, and they're focused more on their mechanics and getting it back together. But all in all, we got Blake Snell pitching tomorrow, I think, and we're in good shape.
Yeah, all eyes on Blake Snell tomorrow, and thank you for the call. 808 KNBR to join the conversation. Thanks, Mike. 415-808-5627. All eyes on Snell tomorrow as he returns to the rotation. The Giants have to start winning his starts. They haven't won any of his starts to this point. 0-3 in the first 3. He's 0-3. As far as the bullpen goes, I do think you've seen Bob Melvin mix it up a little bit. Ryan Walker pitched the 7th inning tonight, and it was 3 up, 3 down. He is trusted in higher leverage situations. I mean, Tyler Rogers is going to be the primary right-handed setup to Camilo Doval just about every night, unless he's worked a few days in a row. And so I think they feel very comfortable with Tyler Rogers to Doval. Bob Melvin's mentioned it. I asked him postgame on Sunday over at Oracle Park about the depth forming in the rotation or in the bullpen rather, because there have been games where it's been Jelly Jackson, Doval, or Miller, Walker, Rogers to Doval. Like they've done it a number of different ways, and Jelly has, I think, earned opportunities. I think the reality is Melvin's trying to keep everybody fresh right now, but he has trust in all of those guys as setup, whether it's Tyler Rogers, Walker, who got the 7th tonight, Jelly, who's had more high leverage situations and been really good, or Luke Jackson, who was signed and brought in to be one of those guys as well. So I think there's a confidence really in a lot of guys right now. I mean, really, I'm counting them 1, 2, 3, 4. I think you add Eric Miller 5. I know Taylor Rogers has been more up and down, but if you've got 5, 6 guys you trust to be set up on any given night because all have proven that they're able to do it, and that's when you start getting into having a not just a good pen, but a great pen. Now that being said, it's been a little up and down. There have been games where for the most part Walker's had it, and then all of a sudden there's one game where maybe he doesn't. Luke Jackson struggled early. That first game of the year, ended up out and on the injured list for a while. He's come back to mixed results. Taylor Rogers, I think, has struggled. Eric Miller, for the most part, has been good. He comes in 1 pitch tonight. I mean, again, hard to fault him. 1 pitch, base hit. You got the runner on second, automatic runner to begin the bottom of the 10th inning there. And so that's just, kind of a tough break after the Giants couldn't score themselves in that 10th inning. But I think that's the one area with the Giants. And again, Luke Jackson didn't have it tonight. Doval comes in with everything already going awry, and then a rare Doval outing where he ends up walking a guy and giving up a couple of hits. I mean, that typically doesn't happen. Usually 2 on with a 4-run lead and 1 out for Camilo Doval. Even if it gets a little funky, he's able to work his way through it. Tonight, unable to do it, but it was Jackson tonight. And being in that 4-run that really was where the tide was turned. 808 KNBR is the number. 415-808-5627. It is John Dickinson here. Sports Phone KNBR Giants postgame edition. Giants got to be their toughest loss of the season. 7-6 in Pittsburgh. 6-2 lead in the 9th inning with the 4-game winning streak. And just when you think this team's right on the brink of turning it around, they dropped this one with Logan Webb on the mound. Now Blake Snell tomorrow. And then, where it really hurts is the Giants are going to face Skeens on Thursday morning out here on the West Coast. And, you hope you'd get the first 2 games of this series before a guy who is an absolute phenom is going potentially up against the Giants on Thursday morning. So we'll see. Back to the drawing board. And tomorrow we'll determine with Blake Snell needing to get things back on track. We'll see if he looks significantly better than he did in those first 3 starts of the season for the Cy Young Award winner. Back to the phones. Kevin is next here on KNBR. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, JD. What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing all right tonight, my man. Trying to make some sense of this one. Rare night where it just felt like the game was kind of in the bag. I know we've seen enough Giants baseball through the years where you never think you never think a 4-run lead is in the bag, but it really did feel like this one was kind of in the bag tonight, and then all heck broke loose in that 9th inning.
Definitely, everything just fell apart in that 9th, and I want to talk about that error because I understand that Luciano, he's probably not playing, like he said in the postgame show, that he's not playing with confidence and stuff. And I mean, that error was just so critical in that ninth inning. It was I think FP even said a tailor-made double play, and it was that was it. But I mean, we can't say that Ahmed would make that play, but that's why the Giants did go out and get Nick Ahmed for the,
Sure.
to get that for sure defensive glove and everything. And I know Ahmed's not doesn't have that popping with the bat and everything, but it's just Luciano. I think he's still too young. I feel like maybe a year, maybe even two, down in AAA, that just to get those more reps and stuff and feel confident. He's only 22 years old. And he just has, he needs more time to develop, and I'm sure he'll be, a good defender and a great hitter, in the years to come. But yeah, it was just a tough one. It's a tough one to eat up tonight.
Well, he had a couple of hits tonight, and I think, in a perfect world, Luciano gets a couple of hits. He's batting .375. The question marks for him, I think, at this point are more on the defensive side as he learns the major league game. And so I think, in a perfect world, you've got Nick Ahmed ready to maybe come in and play defense in the final inning or the final couple of innings of games. And it was a tailor-made double play. And, and Ahmed probably does make the play or at least gets one out. And, again, you can't go relitigate everything that happened after. But if he gets one out, the Giants probably still are able to get out of the inning with the lead and ultimately win the game. But it goes back to some of what we've seen here over the last week, which is the simple fact that when you're playing a lot of young players, significant time, you got to live with mistakes to get the benefit. And I think we've seen both. We've seen the young players for the Giants hit. We've seen Matos struggle a little bit in the outfield. We've also seen him make spectacular catches. So you have to kind of live with all of it if you truly are going to let the young guys play and try to work through and learn how to be professional big leaguers.
Right. And yeah, it's just being patient with them. And I totally understand that. I mean, it's still May. Yeah. Does this loss, hurt now? Of course it does, to all us fans and stuff, but it's only May. I mean, we still got 4+ months of baseball, I mean, if this was a deciding game, in September, when I guess, when the Giants, this is going on in September and stuff, I can totally, see where it's like, a head scratcher and more, hurtful than it is now in just, mid-May and stuff. So.
Yep, totally. I thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night there, Kevin. Thanks a lot. All right, Kevin, check it in here. 808 KNBR is the number, 415-808-5627. The Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line is open as well. We'll get to some text messages coming up on the other side. As it is, Sports Phone KNBR. John Dickinson here following the Giants' loss to the Pirates 7-6 in 10 innings. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Sound off on the sports leader. Sports phone KNBR keeps rolling right here and on the all-new KNBR app.
First pitch to Matt Chapman. He swings and hits a fly ball out to deep center field. Bay on the run, going back at the track, at the wall. It's gone! Stay hot, Matt Chapman, just to the right of straightaway center here at PNC Park. For Chapman, a solo home run in the seventh. It's 5-2 Giants.
Yeah, 5-2 at that point, and the Giants would add another one in the eighth, go up 6-2, bottom nine. Pirates, though, get 4. Matt Chapman's heating up, though. Pirates would tie it in the ninth and then win it in the 10th as Camilo Doval, first blown save of the season for Doval. Game goes into extras. Giants couldn't add on when they had a shot to really break the game open in the fifth, but among the small positives from this one, Matt Chapman at the plate, a couple of more hits, his average up to 243, and so he's making a climb, and he's hitting the ball harder, and he's starting to drive the ball for doubles more and extra bases and hit the ball over the wall. So that's something that the Giants desperately need after a pretty lengthy cold spell from Matt Chapman. 808 KNBR, the number. It's John Dickinson here in for Kerry Crowley. Sports phone KNBR on a Tuesday night following the Giants' loss to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Back at it tomorrow. Blake Snell set to rejoin the San Francisco Giants rotation. Giants now see their 4-game winning streak come to an end, 23 and 26, as they get ready to play Game 2 of the 3-game series and Game 2 of the 6-game road trip tomorrow in Pittsburgh. Let's go back to the phones. Tito is next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Tito.
JD, how are you, my brother?
I'm doing all right, my man. How you feeling tonight? How you dealing with this one?
Well, JD, I got to tell you, man, I'm pretty good and pissed off. And listen, I get that it's May, and I get that people are calling in saying that it's not really a deciding game and it doesn't really matter. I'll tell you who it matters to, Farhan Zaidi, because regardless of an extension, and you can elaborate on this a little bit, these wins and losses matter to this guy throughout the entire season. And to mess around and have Luke Jackson, who's been anything but consistent to start the season, to go out there in the ninth and we have a chance to win 5 games in a row makes zero sense to me, knowing who we have to face tomorrow and subsequently on Thursday during the day.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't have messed around, and I would have, if I'm Bob Melvin, I would have gone to Doval. For save situation or not. I know sometimes in the non-save situations, Doval can be a little funky. He always seems to work his way into it, though, when he gets a runner on. I like giving Doval the full room to be able to work his own way through it. And 9 times out of 10, he is able to work his way through it. I think Bomel got a little greedy tonight, too. I think he was thinking, hey, if I can eke through this inning with Luke Jackson, then I can, definitely use Duvall the next couple of games if the Giants are able to have a lead and really, not feel like you're in a position where you have to maybe give them a rest at the back end. But to me, when you have a chance to win your 5th in a row and get closer to 500, I think you got to do it to keep that mojo going, and it bit him tonight. Again, I know he said in the post-game press conference after, you still feel good even with 2 on and a 4-run lead and Duvall coming in. But, again, I think he got a little greedy tonight. It surprised me because I know Melvin typically is somebody that especially when a team hasn't been playing well, and overall to begin this season, the Giants have not played well despite playing better over the course of the last week. He tends to not want to give an inch until a team has truly righted the ship. And this turns out to be one of those games that flips things back in the opposite direction to where they have to continue the climb. And now you don't know whether Duvall's available. He would be obviously tomorrow, but maybe not tomorrow and Thursday now. So that compounds things. And Luke Jackson, add that to a list of a couple of games where Luke Jackson's been put in positions. First game of the season comes to mind before he got hurt, where he's had some leads and he started the problems. And he was brought in to pitch. He was brought in to pitch 7th and 8th innings at times, 6th and 7th innings a lot of times, and finds himself in kind of the mop up. Extra reliever, non-save situation guy, and he got the first out, and then it was trouble. And Duvall, rarely do you see him walk a guy and give up a couple of hits, but he couldn't overcome it tonight.
And listen, okay, the ground ball to Luciano, okay, textbook. You gotta field it before you make a play with it. But Bob Melvin's got to take this one on the chin and have some accountability for the fact that he is not in a position to get greedy. It's not as if this team has just rolled out a bunch of wins to start the season. As you said, these are confidence building games that we need. Forget a 5-game winning streak. Forget the fact we're facing Paul Skeens tomorrow. This team's just trying to put together like complete games in 9 innings of good baseball, and rolling out a guy who's supposed to be a middle reliever in a position where he's not supposed to be in, which is the bottom of the 9th. Makes absolutely no sense. I know that Bob Melvin is a stabilizer. I know that he's a manager of the year, but not as if he's coming off of back-to-back managers of the year in San Diego, okay? I know that A.J. Preller and him didn't get along, and that probably speaks to why they didn't win as many games as San Diego. Whatever. This guy does not have enough success to stand on recently to throw out a guy like Luke Jackson, who is, like I said, not been consistent, and just like, okay, let's just see how it goes. This is not a team that can we cannot just say, let's just see how it goes with this team.
No, I agree with you about the team part of it, Tito. As far as the Luke Jackson part of it, it's 9th inning with a 4-run lead, knowing that you're going to get your closer in the game if 2 guys get on at any point. So it's not just we'll see what happens. I do think he had, Duvall ready. I'm just wondering, like you are and like a lot of other people are, why not just off day yesterday, get Duvall out there, give him the room to work through, even though it's a non-save situation. Sometimes he struggles in those situations to get into a flow, but you allow him the full realm to be able to work himself through it. As far as the Melvin and this, and I mean, he was in the league championship series 2 years ago. So, I mean, that's the one thing, and I know things got weird fast in San Diego, and they had a lot of bad – the Padres lost about 6 games last year, exactly the way the Giants did tonight. But it's Melvin's got, I think, a little greater track record more recently than you gave him credit for. I will say that.
I'll end with this, okay? I do have faith in Bob Melvin, but I'll tell you right now, just to look ahead to tomorrow, if Blake Snell does not go out and have a quality start by metric standards, we have a real problem on our hands, and we're going to be having a whole different discussion about what this team's going to look like over the next month or so if he does not go out and pitch well tomorrow.
No, no disagreement there. He's got to go pitch like an ace, and he hasn't done it in any of the 3 starts. I know the Giants signed him late. I know maybe he wasn't in the best shape that he should have been in and this or that. I mean, that's no excuse. The guy's got – I know he's a slow starter historically, all of those things. None of it is an excuse. He's got to go pitch like a freaking ace because the Giants are supposed to have 2 of them, and that's supposed to give them the margin for error to be able to not have to be a team that's scoring 5 runs in every single game to be able to win those games. So I'm with you completely on Snell. And, Tito, I'm even with you on the Farhan Zaidi component. And we talked about it a week ago tonight in the bunker following the blowout loss to the Dodgers at that point. And look, pace over 162 and all of that can change very quickly. They were on, I think, 69 win pace going back a week ago tonight after they got thumped by the Dodgers at Oracle Park. And, you win 4 in a row, all of a sudden you're on a 76 win pace, even though you take one on the chin tonight. But the reality is if this team wins 76 games, that's trouble for Farhan Zaidi. And that's not going to cut it. And I'm with you. I don't care how many years on the extension and all of that he got. If this team is more the version that we've seen before the last week of the season, over the long haul for this season, then, unless 3-4 young players are just bona fide starters that look like capable big leaguers for the next decade, he's going to find himself in a lot of trouble. That's just reality. But, again, 6-2, 9th inning, closer on the mound, I think that's a situation when you zoom back into just tonight specific, that's a kind of situation that I think – 30 managers out of 30 would sign up for. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. We'll go ahead and let's sneak in Nick in Santa Clara next here on the Sports Leader. Nick, appreciate you holding. We do have a couple of lines open, 415-808-5627. We'll get to the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line coming up in addition to that. But what's going on tonight, Nick?
Pretty good. I wanted to talk about Camilo Doval. I mean, first of all, I think I kind of had a feeling we were going to lose. I was thinking about the Mets scoring 7 runs to beat the Phillies 2 years ago and that comeback, and it did happen. So I kind of knew we were cursed. But Camilo, I think we're being, we've been too easy on him when he messes up, and I'm wondering if something will seriously change because honestly, we're an unvarnished embarrassment of a team, and there's no confidence, and, it's going to really ruin us if Blake Snell does not pull for us.
Yeah, Snell's going to have to be big. As far as Doval, look, sometimes he makes everybody worry. There's no question about it. He typically is able to get through it, but there's always high drama with Camilo Doval, just as there was with Brian Wilson and at times Sergio Romo when he was the closer, or Casilla, he's just got that to his game, and a lot of closers have that where they really don't start pitching until there's a couple of guys on and things are getting dicey. He's 8 for 8 in terms of saves before tonight. So, at this point, with a couple of wins to boot in some games that the Giants were able to walk off in and win late. So, I think, you look at the overall number. I mean, his ERA is 3. Camilo Doval's been fine to this point. But you always, I think, feel like a couple of guys are going to get on before he really locks in. And the truth is, if Luciano even gets 1 out on the tailor-made double play ball, we're having a completely different conversation. We're talking about a 5-game winning streak. We're laughing about the fact that wow, he gave everybody's ticker a workout tonight. And it's all right, 5 in a row. Ha, that's just, Doval living on the edge like he typically does. And the Giants are able to get through it. Now, the one night it doesn't happen, it looks all bad, especially when you look at the way this game played out specifically. So, yeah, again, keep an eye on Doval moving forward. But I mean, the guy hadn't blown a save in the first month and a half of the season in 8 tries. So it's bound to happen at some point. And again, he wasn't out there at the beginning of the inning, which was the thing that probably surprised me the most as you look at how everything had played out. 808 KNBR. It's John Dickinson in for Kerry Crowley here tonight. Sports Phone KNBR on a Tuesday night. Giants get beat by the Pirates. 4 in the 9th, 1 more in the 10th. It is it's the worst loss of the season. No question. The Giants have had some blowouts. They've had some ugly games against the Dodgers. They haven't quite been able to beat good teams consistently at all. The Phillies series in Philly a couple of weeks back, ugly stuff there. But as far as having a game completely slip through your fingertips that you feel like you have on lock, that is tonight, and it hurts. And it comes at a point where the Giants appear to be turning things around for the better. So we'll pause here. We'll come back. 415-808-5627. We'll get to some text messages. We'll get to more of your phone calls as well, as it is Sports Phone, KNBR, here on a Tuesday, 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Speak your mind on the sports leader. Sports Phone KNBR keeps coming at you. Streaming live at twitch.tv/the sports leader.
Well, they get two guys on. We bring in Duvall for the save. It's 6-2 with two guys on. You feel pretty good about winning the game. He walked a guy and they got two hits off him, which rarely happens.
Yeah, we talked about it. Back here, Sports Phone KNBR, Tuesday night. Giants lose to the Pirates 7-6 in 10 innings. Bob Melvin, from his lips to my ears, I mean, that's basically it on the decision to allow Luke Jackson to begin the ninth inning with the Giants up 6-2. If you're going to do it, typically that's how managers roll with it. Luke Jackson did get the first out of the ninth inning. Obviously, he's got to face three batters now by rule. So a couple on with one out. Duvall's in the game, tying runs in the on-deck circle with one out. And Duvall walks the first hitter. And then a base hit scores one. And the swing play of the entire inning is McCutchen with the bases loaded and the ground ball to Luciano that Luciano winds up booting. Game-ending double play if he can hang on to it and make the flip. Giants probably are able to escape this thing if he can just hang on to the ball and get one out or play to just get one out in that situation. Duvall got squeezed a little bit against Brian Reynolds, got ahead 0-1, and then the 0-1 pitch was a pitch that was clearly a strike, not called. Reynolds bounces into the fielder's choice. Ball not hit hard enough for the Giants at that point to try and turn two with one out. 6-5, and then O'Neal Cruz just laces one down the right field line to tie the game. And at that point you're thinking, the Pirates going to walk this thing off right there. Second and third, two out. Duvall gets Connor Joe, struck him out on three pitches, but the damage had been done. 4 runs in the ninth, tie game at 6. Missed opportunity for the Giants in the 10th, and the Giants end up 1 of 12 with runners in scoring position. Didn't think it was going to cost them because they hit a couple out of the ballpark and had added on runs, albeit single runs, in this one, in the 6th and 7th. The add-on runs were there for the Giants, 7th and 8th. They were able to add on. And, Chapman goes deep. They add on. They get a run in the 8th. And you're still feeling good, but the Giants missed opportunities throughout the course of the game to really punish the Pirates and really put the game away. And it winds up proving costly. 5th inning, after Estrada went deep, Soler walks, Estrada goes deep. Yaz and Luciano both go down with the bases loaded, and that winds up proving costly. 10th inning, Yastrzemski is able to advance Ramos, the automatic runner, on second in the extra innings, and Lamont Wade and Patrick Bailey, couple of pinch hitters. Bailey coming back off of the injured list, hits for Casale, flies out to center after Wade struck out hitting for Luciano. And on the road, you got to cash that run in. The automatic runner at a minimum. And first pitch, bottom 10, Eric Miller, base hit, game over. 4-game winning streak over. Giants now 23-26. And the Pirates wind up evening themselves up with the Giants at 23-26 at the end of the night there. Game 2 of the 3-game series tomorrow, and all eyes are going to be on Blake Snell as he makes his return to the Giants rotation against Jared Jones. And then Skeens is going to pitch. Paul Skeens, the phenom for the Pirates, coming up on Thursday morning. And again, that's one that really hurts. I think if you're San Francisco, is the fact that now you know you're going to face Skeens back into this series. You're hoping Snell starts to pitch like an ace. and you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do in that spot against Skeens. Whereas you get this win, it's 5 in a row, the momentum continues to build, the offense is coming around, Logan Webb pitches well again, as he has in really 8 now of his 11 starts. 8 of Logan Webb's 11 starts, he's allowed 2 earned runs or fewer. And the Giants now, with the loss tonight, 5-6 in Logan Webb's 11 starts as they start their 11th turn through the rotation. Got to be better in the Logan Webb starts. And too often the Giants either haven't scored enough when Logan Webb's been on the mound, and a couple of the games where maybe he hasn't been himself have gotten a little bit out of hand. But you look at Logan Webb and his line, I mean, he, for the most part, has brought it, other than the road games at Philly, Boston, and against the Dodgers. But opening day in San Diego, it's Luke Jackson with the lead in the game where he got hurt. You don't win that game despite 6 innings and 2 earned runs. And the Friday night game in the series opener against Cincinnati, where Webb ends up giving up a couple of earned runs, 3 total. The Giants end up losing that game. You got to get a couple of more wins for as well as Logan Webb has pitched on the season. 808 KNBR, Nick and Modesto next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Nick.
Hi. Hey. I was watching Luke Jackson pitch last week at home. And, I'm no expert, but something is seriously wrong with his delivery. His chest and his face are down, facing parallel to the ground before he releases the ball. Now, if you try to throw darts at a dartboard while you're looking at the ground, do you think you're going to hit it? And a lot of his pitches were to the left of the strike zone. And I thought, what the heck is going with this kind of delivery? Just strange. You're looking at the ground and you're releasing the ball. You're not looking at your target. Have you noticed that?
Well, that's his delivery, and that's a delivery that has had him, for the most part, be a successful pitcher throughout the course of his time in the major leagues. Now, he has been somebody this year that I mentioned on opening day. He ends up giving up the lead in the game where he gets hurt March 28th in San Diego. And then, he did come back at the end of April. And, he's been, unfortunately, in a couple of extra inning games where the Giants have sent him out. He got the win in one of them. He ended up allowing runs to score in a couple of these other games in those situations. But he found himself basically pitching in kind of mop-up duty, and he had pitched well in that role in Boston and Philadelphia. He pitched in 3 of the 4 games in Philly. He pitched in Boston, game when the Giants were behind. And I think because he had pitched well in those games, and I'm looking at it right here, I mean, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight outings where he didn't allow a run before going back to last week against the Dodgers. And that, I think, is what gave Bob Melvin the confidence to start using him in some other situations. And look, tonight it's not like he was out there in a 1-run game in the 7th inning. He was out there with a 4-run lead in the 9th inning, knowing full well that if a couple of guys get on, Duvall's going to be in the game. But I think tonight, an example that maybe Luke Jackson isn't completely back to where you could have said that in maybe 8 of these last 10 outings that he had been out there on the field.
Yeah, well, and I haven't watched him enough. That's the only game I've actually watched him. But I just thought, how can you hit your target if you're not looking at your target? And for the little time I watched him in that one game last week.
Well, he's been around. I mean, it's not Luke Jackson's been around, and he's somebody that the Giants he was on the Braves team that won the World Series in 2021, and he pitched in 71 games, and then he missed all of 22 with an injury, and then the Giants picked him up and got him at kind of a bargain coming off the injury last year. Had a 2.97 in 33 games, but his big year was with Atlanta in the year the Braves won the World Series in 21. He had a 1.98 ERA. He was a big part of their bullpen back end, that pen that really helped them beat the Dodgers and ultimately win the World Series, and hasn't necessarily been the same guy as consistently, obviously, as he was in that year, and I think some injury issues have been a big part of the reason why.
Yeah. So I'll have to just watch a little closer next time he pitches and see if this is an oddity, what I saw, or if it must not be consistent, because if he's done so well, then I would think maybe he is looking at the target most of the time, but this just doesn't seem right, what I saw, where he's looking at the ground and not at the target. But anyway, thanks
Nick,
for letting me call in.
Nope, absolutely. You got it, Nick. From Nick, we go to Glenn in Visalia next. What's going on, Glenn?
Hey, JD. I'm going to blame this on the starting pitching. Not one reliever went 8 innings this year. And you cannot go 6, 7 innings and expect the bullpen to come through every game. Come on, that's unrealistic. Come on. You got to make the starting pitcher earn their money. Quit throwing strikeouts. Make him get shorter pitches and longer innings. Come on, JD. You know that.
Logan Webb's a guy that you want going more than 6. There's no doubt. But there were a lot of hard hit balls tonight against Logan Webb. The Giants had pretty well positioned defense that turned a lot of those into outs, but the Pirates were making him work. And it got to the point where, he was able to get through the 5th inning, and you're wondering at that point at 93 pitches, is he even going to pitch the 6th? Now, Melvin's always going to lean toward giving a guy, I think, one more inning. He got the double play after the leadoff runner got on in the 6th. He finished the 6th strong. But at that point, I mean, that's a wrap as you get to 100. But so they do, I think, overall, I understand the sentiment in terms of, you want to, when you've got to have 4 single innings from different relievers every night or 3, and you're running through the setup guys, and they're different guys here and there because guys all need rest and nobody really pitches more than 2 days in a row anymore. The longer you do that, the more you are susceptible to one guy not maybe having it on a given night. But, Glenn, I don't feel like that's what it was tonight. I mean, you got a 4-run lead in the 9th inning. Like, I know you're talking bigger picture as opposed to tonight, and that I don't necessarily disagree with, I guess. But up 4 in the 9th, I'm putting that one on the pen. I'm not putting that one on the starters.
JD, if possible.
Thanks,
I have
Glenn.
one more question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did
yeah,
you have-
absolutely.
Who are your final 2 in the finals?
Final 2 in the finals, I'm going to go with Boston, and I'm going to go with Minnesota. I'm going Boston, Minnesota. Yeah, I know Boston had a great they were down. Indiana really kind of gave them one late there. Gave the Celtics all kinds of chances
my friend too, JD.
Tie the game. Yeah, thanks, Glenn.
All right, bye now.
Appreciate it, Glenn in Visalia, checking in here. Yeah, I'll roll with the. I'm high on Minnesota after beating Denver, but yeah, wild finish in Boston as the Celtics able to force overtime after. I mean, Indiana looked like they had the game. They gave the Celtics 5 chances in the last 30 seconds basically to tie the game, and then they did, and then the game goes to overtime, and Boston ends up winning it. To take a 1-0 series lead there. But the one thing we've seen about Boston is at home, they can't be trusted. So you think, hey, the Celtics dodged one and got the win, and now they're going to come out and play a lot better in Game 2 at home. That hasn't necessarily been the case for the Celtics. If anything, it's been the opposite in these playoffs. It's weird to say that you don't trust the Celtics at home in the playoffs, but really since the finals, going back, and even before the finals when the Warriors beat them in 22, going back to the East Finals and Miami in that series that the Celtics won to move on to play the Warriors. I mean, they're losing home games in that series. They're losing a couple home games to the Warriors in the finals in Game 4 and Game 6. And, they lost all kinds of games last year in the playoffs. They lost games in this year's playoffs at home. But as far as the breakdown of everything and the Final Four in the NBA with Boston, Indiana, Minnesota, and now Dallas, I mean, if Boston can't win it this year, if Boston can't win the title this year, no slight against Minnesota or Dallas, but you could make the case that things have broken to perfection for Boston. And, if you can't win it this year, I don't know when they're ever going to win it. And so, we'll see. They take the 1-0 series lead. The Western Finals start tomorrow in Minneapolis. Crazy to think the Nuggets are out, but after coming back and winning 3 straight in the middle of that series against Minnesota, but Minnesota earned it with their defense, and they put pressure on the Nuggets, and the Nuggets were gassed, and they couldn't finish the deal. So I think that's going to be a whale of a series. You look at what Luka Doncic has been able to do. Kyrie Irving's engaged. P.J. Washington was a hell of an ad. I mean, Dallas is doing the thing. Lively's playing well, and Gafford, and I mean they're just getting contributions. So I think that's going to be a hell of a series, and they defend when they're on. So I think that's going to be a big part of the equation, and we might just be witnessing the next great superstar in his infancy, and that's Anthony Edwards, who was able to be carried in some ways off the bad first half that he had in Game 7 by his teammates to get back into the game to where he could help close out Denver. And now we'll see if he's next level in the head-to-head superstar matchup against Luka and Kyrie and everything going on there. It's going to be incredible to see, how you never totally know it. Sometimes, like, you didn't totally know it when it was Steph, and then all of a sudden Steph wins the title, and then, Giannis got one, and even last year with Denver, you're thinking, are these guys really going to win the title? Jokic, are they really going to win the title? And there's a little bit of that vibe, I think. I don't think anybody thinks Indiana can win the title, but there's a little bit of that vibe, I think, with Minnesota and Anthony Edwards, and a little bit of that vibe, I think, with Dallas and Luka Doncic, as to, maybe we are witnessing the beginning of the next great player run in terms of championships. And I know Niner fans hate it when I say this, but the Celtics really are the NBA equivalent to the Niners. Just that team that keeps knocking on the door, keeps knocking on the door, keeps knocking on the door, keeps finding ways to win a lot of big games, only ultimately to lose the biggest game at some point. And eventually it breaks you. It's incredible to this point that it hasn't broken the Celtics. But, man, if they can't win this year, given the fact that Denver's out as the defending champion and they're playing Indiana in this series, no shade at Indiana, and then, potentially, playing, a 3-seed or a 5-seed when they were clear-cut best team in the NBA all season from October on by a length, like an 8-9 game margin over 82. I don't know when Boston ever does win it if they can't get that banner over the course here of the next month. All right, let's go ahead and pause here. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Giants drop the series opener in Pittsburgh. We will wrap things up coming up next. John Dickinson in here for Kerry Crowley. It is KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Not really, to be honest. I know there was games the fact that that was the first time we only won 3 games in a row. We won 4. We had a game tonight we should have won. It's not like we don't expect ourselves to win. I think we expected to win the game tonight, and we obviously, unfortunately happened, but it doesn't make it feel any better just because we won 4 in a row before that. It should have been 5 in a row, hopefully, and just had to keep going.
Logan Webb straight and to the point. Post-game in Pittsburgh, yeah. It doesn't matter that maybe the tide has turned a little bit for the Giants. You lose a game with a 4-run lead in the 9th inning and your closer on the mound, and that's a horrific loss. There's just no way around it. Worst loss of the season for the Giants as they lose 7-6 in 10 innings in Pittsburgh. And it's not only do you lose that game, but you lose on a night where your ace gave you a quality start. And, yeah, he didn't go the typical Logan Webb 7 or 8, but it's still a Logan Webb game. And we've talked about the fact that now 11 turns through the Giants' rotation, and they're 5-6 in Logan Webb starts. That's not going to cut it. And we've talked about the math as far as this team getting back to 500, because really nothing starts for the Giants until they get back to 500. And, they've gotten close, but they're still 3 under. And, the only way that you're going to really build any kind of momentum is by repeatedly winning series. When you get 6 games under, which the Giants were a week ago tonight, you get 6 games under, you either got to reel off a streak and get back, or you got to win every series for like a month to get back when you get that far low. Now, the good news is for the Giants, you look up at the standings, and, yeah, they're 9.5 back against the Dodgers. Well, that's not good news. But I don't think anybody in their right mind would have anticipated the Giants being contenders for the National League West this year. That's just unrealistic. And the Dodgers all of a sudden are hot again, winners of 4 in a row and 33-17 and just kind of figuring it out as they go here in May. But you look at the wild card standings, and here's the part that does give you hope if you're the Giants. I mean, they're a game out. They're a game out, and they're tied with Pittsburgh, also a game out. So I think that's the one thing that still, it's only May 21st. It gives you optimism, even on a real dark and gloomy night for the Giants, that you're right there. You're not getting buried. You might not be the number 2 wild card. You sure as heck aren't going to be the number 1 wild card, I don't think. That's Atlanta, and Atlanta's cream of the crop. I mean, it really is Atlanta with the Dodgers and Phillies. Phillies at 35-14. So they are the big 3, basically, in the National League. The Brewers got off to an incredible start. Somebody's going to have to win the Central. Cubs are right there, a game and a half back of the Brewers. But you look up, and there's still, on May 21st, only 5 teams in the National League that are over 500. 5. The Padres right now are the 3rd wild card, and they're 25-26. So on the one hand, yes, horrible loss, worst loss of the season for the Giants. If you win that game, you're basically tied for the wild card lead with the Padres for that final spot. The lead for the final spot, not the wild card lead. That's Atlanta 6 games up on the Giants and Pirates. So you're right there, but the reality is you're right there anyway. So if you continue to play closer to being the team that the Giants have been the last week over the long haul, then they're going to have a shot. Because right now there's 5 good teams in the National League. And then there's 4, 5, 6, 7 mediocre teams. And the Giants are in that glut of mediocrity. 8 mediocre teams. I think the Padres, 25 and 26. They are mediocre. Right? There's 8 mediocre teams basically battling for one spot. Padres, Pirates, Giants, Diamondbacks, Cardinals, Nats, Mets. And as bad as it's been for the Giants are better than the Diamondbacks, Cardinals, Nats, and Mets. Oh, and Cincinnati. But all of those teams are within 3.5 of each other for that last wild card. And then you've got Colorado and Miami, who are truly awful. And really bringing up the rear, 15 and 31, 16 and 34. So you're in it by default. And again, as I've talked about a lot here, that's by design for Major League Baseball. They love keeping the mediocre teams in it. Let's get to a couple of quick messages here on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. 707. Basically, the bullpen is the weak link. Only bright spot has been Jelly. Look, Duvall was 8 for 8 before tonight. Tyler Rogers has been fine. Taylor Rogers has struggled. Some other guys have been up and down. Ryan Walker's been pretty good to this point. Eric Miller's been a find, but he hasn't been perfect. So the bullpen's been, I think, more good than bad, but there have been some hiccups in some close ones that have hurt at different points. Looking at some of the other notes here, and I was looking at some of the numbers. We had a text here from, let me find it here, final couple of minutes. 408, what's the Giants' record against teams over 500 again? Not good. Got to win the winnable games. They are who their record says they are. No doubt. They're a team that's on pace right now to win 76 games, which is, not good. Not good. But, the Giants, they have been a few games over 500 against the bad teams. They've been woefully under 500 against the good teams. But this stretch, even in May, is pivotal for the simple reason that they're playing teams like Pittsburgh and like New York, who are basically in that same category as them. Now, all the games against San Diego, Pittsburgh, Arizona, the Cardinals, the Nats, the Mets, like all these, and this is a whole road trip. You want to get games this week because next week you're playing the Phillies and the Yankees, who are the top 2 teams in the major leagues at this particular point in time, and it has been different for the Giants against the good teams. All right, that'll do it. Thanks to Cole Lapel. Appreciate it. Back in our San Francisco studios. Cole, we also had Casey Copeland tonight. Is that right? Casey Copeland, excellent work. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the callers and the texters. Kerry Crowley's back tomorrow following Game 2 of the 3-game set as the Giants drop a tough one. 7-6 to the Pirates. That's Sports Phone, KNBR, for a Tuesday night right here, KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.